Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, my name is Emmanuel, and today we're going to be learning how to write unit tests for our iOS applications. All right, so just go ahead and we're going to create a new project, and this is going to be an app, well, single view application. I'm going to call this unit testing. Okay, so if you're going to be working with, if you want to add like test to a new application, then just go ahead and check this box over here to include that from the beginning, right? But if you're going to be adding tests to an existing application, I'm going to show you how that is done. So I'm going to uncheck this for now, and I'm going to click on next, and then in our desktop, I'm just going to go ahead and create this project. Awesome. Let's expand this, expand that. All right. Now, before we actually get to like writing tests, let me just take a few minutes to explain why writing tests can actually be very beneficial to us. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a class called what should we call this? Let's call it arithmetic. All right. So basically, what we want this class to do is we want this class to allow us to be able to perform certain arithmetic operations. So things like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a class called arithmetic, like that. And then right here, I'm going to create a function called add. And this is going to take in two parameters. The first one is going to be num1 and then num2. And this is going to return an integer. Okay, so let's go ahead and just copy. Okay, before then, let's just add the function or the functionality. Look at what I'm doing over here. This is just type int. So this is going to be num1 plus num2. Simple enough, right? Cool. So we're going to create 3 more, and this is going to be sub. This is going to be multiply, like that, and this is going to be div. So they're quite similar, just the operations are different. So this is going to be starx, and this is going to be divided. Okay? So very simple, right? Very simple. Now, in our view controller, what we want to do is we want to use this class that we've just made. So I'm just going to come over here, and at the top I'm going to say let arith, or let's call it math. Let math be equal to arithmetic. What? Arithmetic, like that. And in our viewed load, let's just perform some operations. Okay, so I'm going to say print addition of 2 and 2 is, and then right here I'm going to say math.add, and this is going to take 2 as num1, 2 as num2, right? So this, we're going to have subtraction, we're going to have division, and we're going to have multiplication. So this is going to be, yeah, let's actually just leave the values as like 2 throughout. Now let's go ahead and run this and see what we have. Sweet. So this is our output, and the addition is 4, the subtraction is 4. Well, definitely something is wrong. Oh yeah, I used the same function, so let's correct that. So this is going to be sub, this is going to be div, and this is going to be mul. I'm sure you saw that. All right, so this is more like it. So the addition of 2 and 2 is 4, the subtraction is 0, the division is 1, the multiplication is 4. Very good. Now, let's say for whatever reason, someone went to our app and then they changed the, let's say for example, they changed the multiplication function, and rather than having star, they changed that to a plus, right? Let's just say for example. Now, if you look over here, you see that the result for multiplying 2 and 2 is 4. the addition for multiplying 2 and 2 is 4 as well. All right. So now let's say, for example, this person was just trying to refactor. They saw that maybe using asterisks is I don't know, is for whatever reason, right? So they decided to change that and do that refactor. So after like making that change, then they ran the application again, and after doing that, they see that okay, the addition of 2 and 2 is 4, and the multiplication of 2 and 2 is also 4. Now in their mind, they say, okay, yeah, I refactored and everything still works smoothly. But that's not the case, right? This worked for this particular example. This worked for this particular value. But if you were to change this to maybe like 5 and run it again, then you're going to see that the function is actually broken, because 2 times 5, here this should be 5, so 2 times 5 is not 7, right? So this is one of the most common things that testing or writing tests could help you avoid. So basically the idea of writing tests is you write tests or certain conditions that expect a particular output for a particular input. All right. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to write those set of code to basically test a particular function to make sure that under certain different circumstances, the function returns valid results. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and add testing to this particular project. Now, since this is an existing project, how do we do that? What we're going to do is we're going to go over to just click on your target over here, and right here we're going to click on this plus icon, and then we're going to add unit test, unit testing bundle. So just click on that. Then I'm just going to use the default name, so unit test, and just add a test to it, and then we can just go ahead and click finish. This is going to create our test bundle. All right. So if you expand this, you're going to see that it also created a file for testing as well. Okay. So now what I want us to do is I want us to write tests for our arithmetic class over here. All right. So I'm just going to ignore this particular file for a bit, and instead I'm going to create a new test file for the arithmetic class. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for unit test again, and this is going to be a unit test case class. So just click on next. We're going to specify the name of the class. I'm going to say arithmetic. So arithmetic tests. If I got the spelling. So these are tests for the arithmetic class, basically. So now that I have that, make sure it's a subclass of XCode test case, and the language, of course, is Swift. So let's go ahead and click on next, and of course you're going to have to make sure that this bundle is selected, because we want to create this file into our test bundle, right? So just make sure this guy is checked. Click on create. So this has generated a class for us, and I'm just going to go ahead and remove both of these functions because we're not going to need those for now. And then it's time for us to test our arithmetic class. Okay, so the first thing I want to do here is I'm going to create a variable that I'm going to call SUT, system under test. So basically this is going to hold the class or the object that we want to be testing. Okay, so what I want to test is arithmetic, right? So I'm just going to write arithmetic. I don't know why this is pretty hard for me to spell. So anyhow, I'm just going to write arithmetic over here, and I'm going to force this because I'm sure that this is going to be available before it's going to be used. All right, but if you are more comfortable, then you can just use the question mark. Right. So there's an issue over here. I'm writing arithmetic, but it says it cannot find arithmetic in scope. And actually that is true because we are in a different bundle. We're in like a different target. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to import our main app into our testing system. Okay, so how do we do that? Basically, you're just going to say at testable import, and what do we want to import? Unit testing, which is like our main target, right? So when we do this, arithmetic is a member. It exists within our unit testing. So this is now going to be available within the scope of our test. All right, I hope that makes sense. So now that we have this, we're going to need to initialize our system under test. So if you look over here, it says put setup code here. This method is called before the invocation of each test method in the class. So basically, this function is going to be called before a test case is executed. So what we want to do here is we're going to say SUT be equal to arithmetic. So we're just going to create an instance of our arithmetic class and then assign it to the SUT. Then if you look over here, it says put teardown code here. This method is called after invocation of each test method in the class. So basically, we're done with a particular test case. What do we want to do? We want to basically reset our values. We want to reset whatever configurations we've made. So in our case, we simply want to set our SUT to be equal to nil. That's it. So this is going to be our setup. This is going to be our sort of destroy or tear down, right? So now we've done this, and this is pretty good. So the next thing we need to do is we need to actually test the different methods that are within our arithmetic class. So the first one we want to test, let's just go ahead and test the addition method. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a function, and I'm going to call this test addition. All right. So this function is going to allow us to test our addition function. So basically, when you want to write tests, it's going to be very helpful for you to think along this line. So first thing you want to say is given certain input, when a condition or an operation is performed, then this particular output is expected. All right. So there are just three phases. First one, given, and you could actually just write it down like this. So all of your tests should follow this format. So given when, then. Okay. So given certain input, when a particular operation is carried out, then I want these outputs should be derived. So in our case, we're trying to test addition. So we can say given num1 equals 2, for example, num2 equals let's say 5, and actually we could actually write our test to be like, it is very good for your test to cover so many cases. So what we can do here is we can say first let us test the addition of positive numbers. So test positive addition, or test addition of positive numbers, whichever one makes sense to you. Okay, so now in this case we're going to be doing like 2 plus 5. So what operation do we want to carry out? We simply want to say, and we're going to store this in a constant called result. So when our system under test dot, and we're trying to test the add function, right? So num1 and num2. So when this, right, then what do we want? We want to compare the result with the addition of both of these, right? So while writing the test, I know that the addition of 5 and 2 is 7. So what I want to do is I'm going to say XCT assert, and there are actually different options we have over here. So we can assert equal. That's when we're trying to compare left value or right value, like compare two values. We can assert nil. So let's say we expect that the value should be nil. So we can check that. You can also check that it is true. So let's say, for example, the result is a Boolean. We're checking if the Boolean is true. You can just, we have different things that you just basically compare with your expected result. So yeah, we're just going to say XC assert, and we want to assert equal to. So basically we want to make sure that result is equal to 7, right? Because we know that the addition of 5 and 2 is 7. Okay, so let's just go ahead, and for you to run the test, you just click on this play icon over here. Good. So you can see that it ran the test and it actually passed, which is very good. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to create a test case, or a test case actually, for adding or making sure that the addition of positive numbers, negative numbers this time, is correct. So we can actually do pretty much the same thing over here. And so here I'm just going to change this to negative numbers, negative. So here I'm just going to do -5 and 2. Then, 2 plus -5 is what? Can you guess? -3, of course. So this is going to be -3. So yeah, we can now go ahead and run this. And actually, rather than clicking on a specific test case like this, you could actually click on the class, and this is going to run all the tests within the class. So in case you want to run all of your tests at once, you just click on this icon right at the top. The same way, you can click on this icon right here, and you see all the tests that are within your application, and you can just go ahead and click either this to run all the tests within the test bundle, or you click on this to run all the tests within this particular test file, or you run a particular test case. Okay, so you have many options. Thanks. Yeah, that's good. So yeah, this is good. Now, apart from just testing that a result is correct, you can actually test that a result is not something. So for this particular example, it may not be very useful, but just to show you that it is possible, I'm going to say test addition of negative numbers. How do I say this? Okay, let's say test wrong addition, right? So for the other ones, we're testing like correct. So we can say test wrong addition, right? So now we have 2 and we have 0, for example. So we want to add 2 and 0. So we want to make sure that the answer is not 20. So let me show you again. You can do XCT assert. And this time, rather than using equal, we're going to say not equal. So we want to make sure that result is not equal to 20. All right. So you see why I said this particular test may not be simple, because at least for this addition, you can't be checking every single case. So not equal to 20, that it could not be equal to 100. It could be not equal to -1. Just to show you that this is a possibility. So we're gonna run this test, and can you tell me whether or not this is gonna pass or fail? Very quickly. Yeah, it actually passed, because 2 plus 0, the result was actually 2. So at this point, the result is 2, and it's saying 2 is not equal to 20, which is good. So now I've been showing you test cases that passed, but what does it look like when a test case fails? So now we know our test is good. So let's say that someone goes over to, let's go back to our arithmetic class over here, and rather than having like the plus operation over here, they added the minus. And let's actually just change this back so that we don't forget. So now they did some refactor to our addition function, and they ran it, and it looked good in the UI. Everything looked as it was, but they didn't know that they have broken something somewhere else. So they run the application. They see there's no syntax errors. They see that there's a result in the console, and they just assume everything is cool. But when you run your tests, you're just going to click on this to run everything. Let's see what happens. Ooh, so test failed. Oh, everything red over here. So you can see that things actually broke. So 2 tests failed, and they failed because certain conditions were false. And as you can see over here, it says XCT assert equal failed, -13 is not equal to 7. So let's see what happened, okay? So we have 2 and 5. And remember, from the change that was implemented, we changed it to from a plus to a minus. So 2 minus 5 is going to be -3, which is what we have over here. And we expect it to be 7 because we know that 5 plus 2 is 7. So -3 not equal to 7, it failed, okay? The same thing over here, we have 2 minus 5. The minus is going to become a positive. So 2 is not going to be 2 plus 5, which is going to be 7. So the result at this point is 7, as you can see over here. And then what we expected is 2 minus 5, 2 minus 5 is what? Minus 3, which is this. So after the refactor, things broke, and that's why the test was able to basically just tell us on time that, look, something is wrong, so these are the things that didn't match before, so maybe go consider fixing it, right? So like writing tests is extremely important, and I've actually had some personal experiences where this saved me a lot, and if you are interested in hearing my story, then just let me know, and I'm just going to make a video on that. So yeah, we can now go back to arithmetic, and now we can just fix this guy up. Good. So when we've done that, we're just going to click on play, and it's going to try to run all the tests again, and everything passed, and we know we're good to push, right? So you can actually even do the same thing for the multiplication, where we did the plus, all right? So we could go ahead in our arithmetic class, and then we're going to create, let me just take this one. So we're going to create a function to test multiplication, right? We can say multiplication of similar numbers this time. So similar numbers. So this is going to be 2 and 2, and we expect the result to be 4, right? So this is going to be, we're going to be calling the multiplication. So the same system on the test, the multiplication method. So we know that when we're trying to test that when you are multiplying two similar numbers, then 2 times 2 is equal to 4, right? And so this is good. And if you look at our change over here, this is wrong. We know that there's a problem here, but at the same time we know that let's go ahead and run this. Oh, not run it. Let's run our test, and after running our test, everything should pass because this is good, right? And this actually explains why when you're trying to write tests for a function, try and test as many cases or edge cases as you can think of. Okay, so this is just a single test for the multiplication function, and if that happens to be a wrong one, then it's going to pass when in fact it shouldn't. So what you want to do is you want to test like different ways. You want to test multiplying like negative numbers. So this one is going to be like different numbers, right? So we've tried multiplying like similar numbers, multiply different numbers. So this is going to be 5 times 2, and we expect this to be 10, right? So if we go ahead and run this, let me see. So if we go ahead and run this particular test case, this is going to fail because, you know, 5 times 2 is 10, but it is saying 7. But if we were to run all the tests again, let's go and run out everything again, you're going to see that this particular multiplication test passed. It still passed, but this one failed. So this also tells us that something is wrong. So we can now go ahead and check our function, and we say, what? Multiplication? Why is the addition over here? So you just do like this, change this, then you go back to your test case, and you can now run your application, and everything should pass smoothly. All greens. Beautiful. So yeah, this is a very quick and basic introduction to like unit testing, and if you guys are interested in like learning more in depth, because unit testing goes way beyond this, that you can test different classes. You can do something called mocking, where you basically try to replicate a class, and then don't worry, let me not confuse you. But anyhow, so if you are interested in learning more about unit testing, then just of course let me know, and I'm just going to make that as a separate playlist or a separate course, so that I'm able to touch every common and important concepts about unit testing. All right, but in our next video we're going to do like sort of introductory, just like this, to UI testing. So if you haven't subscribed, go ahead, smash the subscribe button, all right, and turn on post notifications so that when I release my videos, you are aware immediately. And if you also found value in this video, then I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button as well. So again, if you have questions, just put it in the comment section and I'll definitely respond. So until then, have a great day.